Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Season 7 of Smallville. So in this season, Clark has a lot of weight to carry on his shoulders. He meets his biological cousin, who I'll talk about in a bit. He learns of a secret society that is tied to his arrival on Earth, and he has to continue to keep his secret from Lex, as well as contend with other DC villains. So this is a very polarizing season, to say the least. Some people find it to be very underrated and misunderstood, while others, like myself, find it to be one of the lowest points of the show. So if you didn't enjoy this season, well, don't worry, you're not alone. This season fell victim to the infamous Writers Guild of America strike. It affected so many other TV shows, some which I've talked about already on this channel, such as Prison Break and Heroes. As a result, the episode count was reduced to just 20 episodes rather than the usual 22. The air dates of several episodes had to be delayed, and Allison Mack, who played Chloe, lost her opportunity to direct an episode. But don't worry, she got it back later on. And the mere fact that this season was affected by the strike really shows in the end result. And just a few other things to know before we start. This is the final season to have Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, the creators of the show, as the showrunners. They stepped down after this season due to creative differences. But don't worry, the show was in good hands afterwards. And also, 3 major cast members would step down as series regulars, either because their characters were being killed off, or they simply had to stay out of the picture temporarily. And some of these characters did return later in some capacity. I still enjoy this season, but I don't think it's necessarily great. But let's get into it anyway. So first of all, let's start off with Clark. Clark meets his biological cousin, Kara-El, aka Supergirl. Kara-El's played by Laura Vandervoort, and they learn quite a few things from one another. Whereas Clark needs to teach her how to control her abilities and remain inconspicuous on Earth, she tries to teach him the one thing he can't do just yet, and that's flying. Patience, Clark, patience. Plus, Tom Welling and Laura Vandervoort played off each other very well. You instantly buy these two as relatives, let alone cousins. He also has to put up with Lex. He and Lex, as far as their friendship is concerned, it's without a doubt at the lowest point that it can possibly go. And while this is something that was definitely inevitable for the show, it's also a little bittersweet given how they started out as friends. As for Lionel, he was one of the best characters in this season, and we learned something that will definitely change the way you perceive him as a character throughout the show. Chloe comes to terms with what she discovered about herself in season 6, and she spends a little more time with Jimmy Olsen this season. And Jimmy even has his own special episode in the form of Sleeper. Episode 17. It's a very James Bond-esque episode. It's not quite as good as the season 6 episode Noir, where we learned that Jimmy likes old movies. Noir was inspired by Sin City, by the way. But it's fun, especially if you enjoy the classic James Bond movies. Lois finally gets her job at the Daily Planet, although Clark has yet to join. And this is extremely important for the later seasons. Now as for Lana, there are things I like about her this season, and there are things I don't like. I do like the fact that we get to see a darker side to her character that we hadn't seen before, and it's evident in her interactions with everyone around her, including Clark, Chloe, and Lois. She starts a non-profit organization with the intention of treating meteor freaks who have either been discriminated against, experimented on, or a mixture of both. Although the name of the organization is a little bit odd. It's the ISIS Foundation. Yeah, that didn't age very well. And her final scene at the end of the season was actually quite emotional. It was well thought out. Tom Welling directed the episode Apocalypse. It's an episode towards the end of the season, and it's one of the better episodes that he's directed. This season introduced some new characters and also brought back some familiar faces from past seasons. We get appearances from Bizarro, who's a bizarre version of Clark Kent, Zor-El, Clark's biological uncle, Lara-El, his biological mother, Black Canary makes her debut, and even Dean Cain, who originally played Superman in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, plays a villain named Dr. Curtis Knox in the episode Cure. Plus, Brainiac returns from Season 5, and Pete Ross, who we haven't seen in quite some time, appears in the episode Hero. This season also establishes the secret society, Veritas. It comprises of people from 4 different families, and they were tasked with welcoming Clark to Earth, who they dubbed the Traveler, and they were also assigned to controlling him as long as he was on Earth. This is a very significant part of the Smallville lore, and it answers quite a few questions you may have regarding certain aspects of the show. And as for the finale, while it wasn't the best finale the show had to offer, it was still amazing, and it got so many things right, especially the final scene. Now, I do have quite a few problems with Season 7, as do most people. Firstly, this season tried to cram way too many ideas into just 20 episodes. This results in uneven pacing, a lack of focus, and several storylines ending very abruptly, resulting in wasted potential. I also have issues with some of the characters in this season. Firstly, let's get the elephant out of the room quickly. Lana. They had another opportunity to give her a send-off in Season 6, and they didn't take it. Plus, they brought her back in the stupidest way possible, and the back and forth banter between her and Clark, it's gotten stale at this point. Plus, there's an episode where she basically gets Clark's powers, and she acts so entitled that it's painful. Kara was also, to some extent, underutilized, especially in the second half. Plus, they didn't really give Green Arrow all that much to do. He appears in one episode, the episode Siren with Black Canary, and that's it. There's a storyline involving a character named Grant Gabriel, an editor at the Daily Planet, which is interesting in the first half but doesn't go anywhere in the second half. It's just kind of thrown out. This is also the last time we see Pete, so it's not the best send-off they could have given him. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And even Clark himself is still coming up with excuses to run away from his destiny yet again, and it feels tiresome at this point. And some of my least favorite episodes are in this season. There's the episode Hero, the episode where Pete comes back. It is literally the worst episode in the entire show. It serves no purpose other than to promote a brand of chewing gum. Stride gum to be exact. Yeah, this episode's purpose is pure product placement. Now I guess this was done because the budgets of certain episodes ended up being inflated and they had to find ways to cover the costs. But the gum is in your face constantly, all the time, and it even appears in 2 other episodes as well. And by product placement standards, this is quite embarrassing. Plus, the premise of the episode is stupid. Pete chews some kryptonite-laced gum. Just go with it. And it gives him elastic arms and legs. This is like something out of the high school era of Smallville. It's absolutely goofy, and it results in some really shoddy CGI effects here and there. So yeah, this episode is definitely the worst episode in the entire show. And all of this results in a season that feels like the show is spinning its wheels, not really knowing where to go. And when it comes to Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, you could feel the creative exhaustion that they probably experienced while writing this season. But that's also due to the pressure they faced from the writer's strike. But anyway, the show did get better, as I mentioned earlier, so there's that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on season 7 of Smallville. It's still a good season, but it was kind of underwhelming. Next time we're going to be looking at season 8, the beginning of the Daily Planet era of Smallville. So thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like the video, share and subscribe, hit the notification icon. Be safe during this time, and I'll see you soon.